This is a miracle. Life has graced us, has graced these hobos. Oh, it's nice and sunny. I love it. Yeah. I don't know what that was. Thank you so much for having patience with me. You strawberry buds that I know stick around. You and I are like this. Remember that. Like this. For infinity. And beyond. We're always gonna be like this. Remember that. Love you guys so much. Okay, so what's changed in my life from several months back, or perhaps even like a year back, or 2 years back, till now? Which I know is a lot to cover, but I'm still gonna cover it anyway, because I feel like it. And because I just want you strawberry buds to know. Oh, alright, so if you're an emotional being, either I would suggest maybe, depending on how emotional you are, maybe skipping this part. I might leave a timestamp in the description below to skip this part, like to where it's over. But if you're not too emotional, but you still are a little, I would maybe suggest getting a tissue box. First, I'm going to start off with, kind of more gloomy, like less bright and shiny news. Yeah, let me know when you're ready, if you are going to like stick through and listen to this. The reason I want to share this with you buds, even though it's not all bright and shiny and happy, is because I figured you buds should know, and also in case in the future you ever ask. And if you feel like it might be too much for you, then again, go to the description and click on the timestamp to skip this part. Anywho, okay. So this is probably the worst thing that's happened to me in 2016. Oh gosh, I really hope I won't get emotional myself, but because I like to keep myself strong, though everyone tumbles and falls at some point, and especially like falls down and smashes themselves into a pancake and gets scrambled up. Everyone has that point in their life at least once. For me, I feel like this was one of the worst. In 2016, for any of you buds that might have watched any of my past videos where you see my little furry friend, my little furry chubby-legged friend, Rico. I'm making this so dramatic, but it honestly means so much to me, because I'm just such a dumb person, to be honest. He traveled through the next dimension. I don't know if that makes it sound less gloomy, but yeah, my little furry friend. Don't do this, strawberry bunny, don't do this. Yeah, okay. Strength, courage. My little furry, short-legged, chubby little guy Rico. Yeah, he traveled through the next dimension, which you buds probably already know what that means. I really loved him so much, and of course I didn't really show him that much in my videos, like in the past, like when he was around, which part of me kind of regrets, because you buds probably would have wanted to like see like vids of him, videos, because he was such a sweet little doggo, always filled with smiles and joy. Always made me feel better in the most darkest times. Aside from these strawberry buds, he was always there too. And yeah, it really hit me. I think the reason it hit me like so hard, not only because obviously when a pet, or when an animal friend passes through the next dimension, for some reason it just really hits you a lot harder sometimes. So when it happened to me, I think the reason it hit me even more than it should have is because Rico was the first little furry friend, the first doggo, the first pupper I ever got to keep. I'm sorry buds, I don't know if I should leave this part in or not, like of me getting all emotional, because you buds probably never seen me like that, but just to, I guess maybe I should keep it in just so you buds know just how much Rico meant. I don't even know if this helps, because it doesn't make the like what I'm talking about any like brighter or less teary. But okay, yes, Rico was the first little furry friend of mine I ever got to keep in my life. Not saying I never had other puppers or other doggos in my life, like one at a time in my life, because I actually did have like a few. I think a total of 3 or 4 as a kid, one by one. But each time I would get like a doggo or a pupper, something unfortunate always would happen, to the point where I felt like I didn't deserve to have a doggo or a pupper. Not because I didn't treat it right, but because, well, one of the main reasons is because I don't understand why. Like, even till now, I don't understand why. But like, a family member of mine, which wasn't really that close to the family, and actually isn't fully related to the family, but yes, like for some reason, like before it even hit like a year having a pupper or a doggo, this family member would always feel the need to return it. And I think it's because they felt I wasn't old enough to have a pupper or a doggo, which I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. But yes, each time I would get a pupper or a doggo from my mom, because she was the one that always got it, for me and my little brother, this family member, after a little while would feel the need to return it. Like, of course, they would also talk to my mom about it, and even though she didn't really agree with it, she let this family member return it. And so I never got to keep, like literally just keep a doggo or a pupper, little pupper friend. Just to make the situation just a little funny for a second, I would name this pupper, because each time I'd get a pet, it would always be like a little pupper before they're actually grown up. I would always name them, each time I'd get one, I would always name it Lucky, which I don't know if that's why it caused like this weird karma, or not this weird karma, this weird bad luck to happen, because my pupper's name was Lucky. But unfortunately it wasn't so lucky because it got returned so quickly and I didn't really get to keep it. And one of the puppers I've had in my life, which was the only pupper that it wasn't actually technically returned, was taken and placed in like a neighborhood, taking off his tag in order for someone to find him and, you know, decide to keep him, making it seem like this puppy or this pupper didn't have an owner or like was lost or something. Well, pretty much didn't have an owner. Yes, this happened intentionally because even though this family member of mine, it's not the same family member, but this other family member of mine felt they didn't have any other option because for some reason, which I didn't understand, like really I did not understand, because we always took really good care of like my pets. We would get like complaints, I think from either one person or a few people, about the pupper in some way, that they always threatened to call animal control. And so this other family member of mine, who does care a lot for me, cares a lot for me, even though it was a hard decision for them to make, without telling me at first, they decided, you know, to take my pupper while I wasn't home, while I was in school, and release it in a safe neighborhood where there wasn't any cars around or anything, but, you know, there was like houses and people living there, and just, you know, leave the puppy there, the pupper. And yeah, just drive off. And even though at that time I was really upset, I forgave them because I know that the situation we were in, it was just really difficult. And, you know, I guess in some way they felt that would have been better than for me to experience seeing my pupper being taken away by animal control. Really, I still do not know what the reason was, like, for those people or that person to call animal control on us, or, you know, threaten that they were going to do that. So anyway, trying to end up on this story real quick. Before Rico, I had puppers before, and I never actually got to keep them long enough for them to feel like they were actually part of my life. And so when I first met Rico, he was like, I think a year old. Yes, or almost a year old. My brother, my younger brother, he actually named our dog, or, you know, our little furry friend, Rico. Also, I didn't really feel like, you know, he was a Lucky, like, you know, his name would be Lucky. I was truly gifted with keeping my doggo for up to 10 years, I believe. And so, sorry. Okay, so yes, it hit me pretty hard, Strawberry Buds, but I was so happy that I got to share my life with him, you know. He got to share his life with me for 10 years. And overall, I think he was happy. I hope he was. But I like to believe he was, because his story ended where it began, which was at a little farm. Well, not the same farm, but a farm with a lot of sunshine and a large field, and just beautiful. He got so much space to run around, like when he was still with us here. And I always saw like a smile on his face. Not because that's what his face looks like when he has to like breathe, but I just had this feeling that he was happy. Like his last few years in this mystical, weird, crazy world, he was happy. And I always did my best as his friend, alien friend, to make him happy. And though I don't believe I was 100% perfect on how I raised him or like how I took care of him, I know deep down that he knows that I truly loved him. And everyone else that got to meet him loved him very much. So yes, Strawberry Buds, it's probably the first time you guys ever got to hear like a sad tone in my voice. And ugh, I hope it doesn't show on camera, because like I don't, you know, it's kind of awkward. But at least it's genuine with how I truly felt for Rico, my little furry friend. Not to say my other puppers that I had in my life I didn't care about as much or anything. I did, but unfortunately I didn't get to have them in my life long enough. But overall, I hope if any of them are still around in this world, I hope they're happy too. They're probably like really old now. Rico was one of the bestest little furry friends I've ever had in my life. One of the bestest friends in general I had in my life, even though he was a doggo. Still, it counts. And he will be missed. And I know he still is there. I know, because I do believe there's this other dimension that exists. I believe that he's still there. I would always like tell him my secrets, like a lot of passionate dog owners, cat owners, whatever owner. Yes. And I always shared like my thoughts about you strawberry buds to him, and he always smiled, and he was just like, sometimes he would sneeze on my knee, which I wouldn't understand, but I think that was his way of saying I love you. Look at that. Rico, you sneezed on my knee. What the freak, Rico? Your snob is like on my hand. You know, just to confirm that he heard what I said. He wanted me to send his greetings your way, even though he was just a doggo. To me, he was not just a doggo. He was my bestest little furry friend with a soul. Wherever he is right now, wherever he may be right now, I hope that he's happy, which I'm sure he is. Oh, so yes, strawberry buds. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for having to share that, or not having to, but like deciding to share that with you buds. But I felt like it was important for me, and of course for you guys too, because I feel like at some point you might have, for any of you who have like remember Rico, might have asked like, where is he? Can you show us another video of him? Or can you record another video with him? And so yeah, I just want to clear things up. As well, I feel like it's also very therapeutic for me. It helps me heal. Is that the right word? Yes, I guess. Heal. It helps me heal, and what's the word? Oh yes, it helps me with closure. Even though it was already a while ago since, you know, he passed, unfortunately. And in case any of you buds are interested in knowing when he exactly passed, it was September 9th, 2016. Yes, it was September 9th, 2016, sometime in the early afternoon. And he went from one day being, you know, all jittery and stuff, and then the next day he, unfortunately, which was kind of sad, but, you know, he seemed really tired and just kept closing his eyes. And, you know, he was being pet a lot and, you know, just stroking his head. And, you know, he just seemed like he was just going to fall asleep. But somewhere, like, I knew that, you know, it was time. Trying to just cheer myself up a bit. I don't know if that, no, that lighting doesn't make it any better. It makes me look like I have like dark circles. Yeah. Okay, let's move on, Yes, that's like probably the most gloomiest thing you'll hear in this video today. Okay, this next thing that has changed my life, I figured you buds should know, even though it's happened a while ago already. And I'll try to make this more short. Any of you buds have heard of this one hurricane that's gone through Florida, or, you know, has been passing through like the edge of the United States, like the side where Florida is, the coast, all the way up, called Hurricane Matthew? Well, yes, this strawberry bunny creature, unfortunately, had to go through that. And it was the first time I actually experienced like a really hardcore hurricane. And of course, at first I was kind of worried, because I didn't know what to expect. And at first, to be honest, I actually brushed it off thinking, no, it's not going to happen, because we always get like a lot of the tourists here who don't really live in Florida long enough, or haven't, kind of get a little bit over-exaggerated every time they hear about a storm coming, because most of the time it always ends up being just a little bit of rain and thunder, and then that's it. But this one was the real deal, this Hurricane Matthew. And of course, because I lived here for a long time, I thought, yeah, it's probably just gonna be a little storm again. But to my surprise, it was actually coming, and it was gonna hit really hard. And so, yes, everyone here in my little town had to evacuate. And to be honest, I waited till last minute. The reason I waited till last minute was because, again, I thought it was like over-exaggerated news. And so, as you probably would have expected, we didn't have any stock of water, any canned food, or, you know, food that doesn't have to be refrigerated. I didn't have that much gas in my car. Neither any of us did. Which is actually, it's apparently one of the important things you're supposed to have, gas, for you to drive out of the city, or the environment, or the town, whatever, so that it doesn't get to you. Well, as long as you have enough gas to find a shelter, you know, an actual shelter where people go. So, yes, we had to find a way to stock up on water, canned food, or, you know, food that can last for days without it spoiling, and get gas. And so we were kind of panicking, especially me. Thankfully, I was surprised that I drove to the most nearest store, little grocery store. I think it was Walgreens. So I went to Walgreens, and I was able to find, even though it wasn't water, because people already got like beat us to it with that. I did manage to find stuff to drink, which wasn't like soda, like Coca-Cola or like Sprite or anything, because, you know, we wanted to have like something healthy to drink. I managed to find some juice, and some beverages that I never tried before, but they kind of look like soda, but they weren't. I think it was kind of like a juice like fizzy drink sort of thing. I got like a few flavors like strawberry and kiwi and stuff like that. I tried to grab what I could since we were running out of time, and it was really like a panicking type of thing. And I grabbed as many snacks, like just random snacks, like big bags of chips and stuff, which it wasn't like actual like good food, because that's all I was able to find last minute. And I did the best I could for my family. And yeah, I came home and we had enough like to drink for at least, I would say, 3 days, which I was hoping it wasn't going to be more than that. And so also the food, well, I wouldn't call it food, but the junk food, I estimated that it would last us like about a week if we were like, small portions, like if we spread it out into like a week, not eating too much of it at once. And my brother, thankfully, because I still had no idea where we were going to go, because I live in a mobile home, and hurricane, mobile home, they don't go together, because otherwise we end up in the Wizard of Oz, the land of the Wizard of Oz. That's what I kind of pictured in my mind, that our mobile home was going to end up like totally different world. So yeah, I was kind of like disappointed. I was like, oh no, my stuff. Anywho, I know that's not the most important thing in life. Stuff is not the most important thing. First is family. But of course, just like any normal being would, I did worry a little bit about my stuff, because I did have stuff that was truly like valuable to me, especially like sentimental to me, had like sentimental value. So I tried to pack up what I could, the things I felt like were most important to me, which was funny because I ended up packing like in like 2 or like 3 big storage bins, which I know, shame, everybody's shame. You don't need that much. By the way, my mom's home, so that's why you might hear like background noises, but she knows that I'm doing my thing here, so she's just not gonna try to be too loud. Anywho, she's just cooking right now. Again, okay, so back to my brother. My brother, thankfully, he was able to find the closest official shelter nearby for us to go to, which, oh my gosh, so funny. It was actually the high school I used to go to, which apparently it was a shelter, so I was just like, cool, because it's actually really nearby, so I was like, good, we don't have to drive for hours, like panicking where we're gonna go. And so we went there to my school, all of us together, and it was really strange staying there for like actually it was only like 3 or 4 days, thankfully. But yeah, it was really strange because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm back in high school, but the difference is there's all these old people like sleeping together. Not like that, but like sleeping around each other, just hanging, while Mr. Matthew, all right, came over to do his thing with his horse and winds and rain and storms, and yeah, we were just chilling there and hoping, the whole 3 to 4 days, if I remember exactly, that we were gonna come home with our mobile home still being there, and hopefully not flooded or destroyed by like a tree falling on it or just anything like that. So yes, we were there for 3 days, and thankfully as well at the school they had enough water, like stocked up water in water bottles to give out to everyone, so we no longer had to worry that our little stock of like little like juicy fizzy beverages were going to be enough or not, or like bags of chips, because they also served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was just so happy, like for the first like horrible experience of like hurricanes I ever experienced in my life, we got to have it really good, which is truly something to be thankful for, because I don't know how well the other people did that had to go through that horrible hurricane. And I'm sorry, Matthew, you're really cool, but that was so messed up. I'm just kidding, I don't mean it to him. Overall, I just try to keep my mind positive and just try to relax in my school and just, have hope and faith that everything was just fine. Thankfully, it was. We came back home after 3 to 4 days. Of course, the roads were a little bit blocked off, but thankfully we were able to get through where we had to go in order to get to our home. And thankfully, our home was still there. This sexy mobile home was still there. And wow, there was one tree, because I live in a forest. I was surprised that no tree has touched our house at all. But one tree was literally right in front of our house, so close to hitting it and destroying it, that when we got there, we were just like, this is a miracle. Life has graced us, has graced these hobos in this little mobile home, and this alien with her nice, sexy room, which it's, I did my best. But anyway, I was so happy that our home was still there, nothing was touched with water, it was all good, and the sun came out, and it was just such a happy little ending for us with the hurricane. But I said I was going to keep this short, but I think I just went overboard again with this. Sorry. So yes, that's another thing that has changed my life in some way, I would say. I think in terms of being more appreciative of life in general, and my family, and the things I actually own. Though, I need to get rid of stuff, because I realize there's a lot of stuff I really do not need, and that really is not that important to me anymore, or ever was. So yes, I need to get rid of some stuff. It's like a resolution of mine now. But yes, Hurricane Matthew. Survivor. Yay. So the next thing that has changed my life, in a way, I don't think it's like a big impact in my life, but in a way I think it did change my life a little bit. I'm in a new relationship now. For any of you Strawberry Buds that didn't know, back then, like about a year or two ago, actually 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, I actually was already in a relationship, but it was like long distance, which I was in it for about, let's see, until it ended. I was in it with like for about close to 6 years, I would say. But even then, before I even got into that relationship, I knew this person almost most of my life, though they lived somewhere totally different. And yes, for a while everything has been going good, but of course, to no surprise, which I mean, I don't say it like in a very bitter way or anything. After some time, I just started realizing that I've been putting in a lot more effort into the relationship compared to the other side putting much of it at all, but mostly in terms of visiting. The person I was in a relationship at first, my last relationship, they never came to visit me. But again, I don't say this in a like very bitter way. But I think most of all, both of our lives have become so busy that, I wouldn't blame the other person that, they just couldn't have enough time or like enough money saved up since they're so busy with what they're doing, especially in college, for like to be able to come over, especially since it would be their first time visiting the US for the first time. So not to say that it's, to me, that meant that they didn't care about me, but I felt like excuse me, I didn't mean to burp in y'all guys' faces. I feel like, I just started asking myself, realizing, time is going by, and like this person, said that they're still not sure, perhaps like a few more years, or a few more years after that, and a few years after that, they would be able to come visit me. But I felt like life is short, and not to say because I believe this person didn't care about me at all, but I felt like, in a way, it was hurting me more than it was doing good. Being away, like being that far distant from each other, but trying to keep the relationship strong. And not to say like I just felt like giving up, or I just felt like, oh, it was too hard. No, I did have faith in it for a long time, but to a certain point, I just felt maybe it would be best, like, for both of us to, put like an ending chapter to it right there, and perhaps that would help make both of us more happier in life in general. And so it was really hard, don't get me wrong, it was really tough, and it took me some time to think about it and to really get through it, but yes, that's what happened. And I'm being so dramatic because of course I'm not the only one that's gone through this type of relationship or process. Yes, it was a bit tough for the first few weeks or months for me, but then coincidentally it appears that one of my friends, which appeared in I think at least one of my videos, I'm not sure, maybe two, after a while confessed to me that they actually, had a crush on me for a long time. So, it took me some time to really process it, and of course, really just think about it, because overall I realized, I really do enjoy this person's company, but also I just wasn't sure, because I think it was the first time a friend of mine, like, confessed this to me, and, asked me if, I would be interested in doing this. And so, of course, part of me was a little bit worried that this would, in a way, ruin things in terms of the relationship we already had. But overall, getting to know more and more about this one friend I have, I realized, you know what, this friend of mine, I really do, like, I actually have, like, some hope for right here. And so I decided, yes, I will give this a shot. And so far, it's been about 2 years, and we're still doing really great, really happy, both of us. And, like, I feel more me than I ever have, because in my last relationship, even though I never showed it on camera, I was actually really depressed for a while. Like, after the first, like, few years, I started getting really depressed. And so now I feel less and less depressed. I feel like I can actually breathe now. And, I feel really happy. Like, this one person truly brightens up my day. Like, truly makes me laugh and makes me feel like the special alien that I am. The special alien Strawberry Bunny creature that I am. And really embraces, like, what I do on Strawberry Zone, YouTube in general, and for you Strawberry Buds. And so I decided, yes, this is really nice, and I really enjoy this relationship. And it's funny because I didn't even say who the person is just yet. I don't know if any of you buds, because right now I only have like a few that seem to be very interactive in the comments, but if any of you Strawberry Buds have watched any of my videos from the past, that have seen that one video called Meet the Pedo Panda, which I know it sounds like a really bizarre title, like who would watch that? It's not like a legit title, it doesn't really mean anything. That one video of the Pedo Panda, where it says Meet the Pedo Panda. The Pedo Panda himself, his nickname now is Nightmare.
I'm a pretty strong, amazing black man. He's just like, I know you are, I'm just like, the fuck? And then I walk away. I tried to get you hooked up in the army, get you an army man.
I did not want an army man. You also started up with my own uncle.
Yinder, hinder, hurry. Hello, Kitty headphones. Hello, Kitty.
Nightmare is the person I'm in a relationship now with, and I feel so, like, so far I feel so happy, Strawberry Buds, like so happy in terms of relationship, and I feel like I could be more myself than I ever have been, and I don't really feel as depressed as I used to be. I feel like I can breathe, if you understand what I mean by that. And yes, I don't know if any of you Strawberry Buds have had like a first impression of like who Nightmare is as a person.
Do you like it when the water just runs down each cheek and it's nice and big?
But actually he's a really kind, sweet soul that is also very generous and really treats me with respect. Just really makes me smile and makes me laugh every single day, and I think that's important. But yes, I'm in a new relationship now with Nightmare, and it's going good. I will let you buds know if, by any chance, which I feel like most likely, he will show up more in my videos, because first I feel like I have to get this out of the way just so you buds know, and also just to clarify things. And I feel like it'd be fun to include him more, because he's really funny. He's a really funny guy. And yeah, he's actually the one that got me this. It's probably not surprising, but I really appreciate it and I'm really happy. And he's also the one that got me this. And these things, I don't ask for these things. He just gets them for me. And I feel like that's true love right there. Not saying material wise, but when you don't ask, they just do, you know? Just like I many times like to do things without saying anything. I think that's important. So yes, overall, the relationship's going good. Okay, so the last thing that has changed my life, which is probably the silliest thing that I'm gonna mention. My hair. My hair has finally, which I believe it has finally grown out healthy again. It's been restored. Though, again, I really miss being able to dye my hair like I used to, you know, with all those fun colors, because I feel like that's who I truly am. I feel like that truly speaks to me, that form of expression. I figured I'd rather have hair, natural hair color of mine, grown out and healthy, than to not have hair at all after having all these crazy colors in it, which is sad because it feels like a sacrifice to me, as silly as it sounds. But on the bright side, even though it's probably more pricey, I don't know, I can have the alternative of wearing wigs, which sometimes works out and sometimes doesn't. It just depends what kind of wig and like the type of quality it is. But it is something that I think of doing now more these days. Like if I want to like change up my hairstyle, just throw a wig on top and just be happy. Hopefully it looks just as great. Hopefully. But yeah, that's the last thing that has changed in my life, which I know is kind of silly to mention, but I feel like it's something important to me, because before I was kind of worried that my hair was not going to grow out the same like it used to, but it actually did. Look at all this hair. I don't know how it looks like on camera. It probably looks messy. I do my best. I have a lot of hair, thankfully, now. It all started when I like had this one bleaching incident, like not being careful and rubbing my scalp, which you're not supposed to do, with bleach, hair bleach. And so that's what caused my hair to super thin out, and yeah, fall off. And that was really scary, and this took me about 3 years. So if any of you buds want to take that risk, just be careful. Do not rub it on your scalp, which I don't know why I did that, but that just happened. Just try to take as good care of your hair as you can. And I also got this back by avoiding any sort of heat method products. Every time I get out of the shower, I would never blow dry my hair, even though temptation is there because it always looks like a mess. It makes me look like some sort of sea monster. I still avoid heating my hair at all in any form. No straightener, no hair dryer, no curling iron, nothing like that. I would always just let my hair be, and I wouldn't even brush it when it's wet, because that's actually not a good thing to do. You're not supposed to brush your hair when it's wet, because your hair rips out more easily, believe it or not, when you do that, because the follicles on your head are still open, especially if you like to take warm to hot showers. It causes your pores to open more. Science. So yeah, that's the last thing that I'm gonna mention in this video, that I believe is pretty much all that has been going on and has changed in my life. The last thing I'm going to talk about is what I'm thinking of doing from now on this channel and in my life in general, but mainly on this channel and my other channels for you Strawberry Buds.